Well, David Bowie is currently in Los Angeles, finishing off the new Tin Machine album due for release in September. I spoke to him a few days ago via satellite, and first I asked him to look back on last year's Greatest Hits tour. Was he happy with the results?
For me, I think aesthetically it was the best show that I ever did, without doubt. I mean, it was, looking back at it, it was really, it was pretty stunning in visual terms. I had one of the neatest, tightest, and most enthusiastic bands that I've worked with in many years. That's the Adrian Blue Band. Overall, I thought it was a really great way of bowing out from those songs.
And what was it like for you, so many years on, going on stage and playing all those greatest hits?
The memory, you know, there's only, a song can only trigger a memory. It doesn't become completely Pavlovian. It's the memories are triggered for maybe during the rehearsals and the first concert. You get all kind of as weepy as I ever get anyway about songs, and do you remember this old chestnut, you know, and sentiment overflows. We all wipe our eyes, and then we're fed up with the damn thing in about 7 days. With continually playing it. And it tends to get like that on any tour for me. I mean, and with older songs, for me, it's really hard to sing them with any degree of enthusiasm or integrity after a bit, because frankly, it just becomes like a discipline, you know, because you've got to do that song that night because it's expected of you. But when you've been doing it for 8 months every single night, oh, well, let's not cheat, say 4 times a week, it's really hard to you know, conjure up its potential magic, and you just have to rely on the song itself to produce the magic that it had inherently in the beginning, you know. But there again, having said all that, by the time you get round to the last 5 or 6 performances and you realise that it's the last time you're ever going to sing them again, I think there's a whole, it's a real watershed of emotions, you know, because you're putting away an awful lot of creative life there, and it was a real tough decision to make. I mean, it's an easy cop-out at the end to say, well, that might have been the last time up, you know, but this was for real. I mean, that was it. Mm.
Well, was there any point, David, during that tour when, I mean, especially towards the end, where, you know, you knew that this was going to be the last few performances of Suffragette City or Changes or any of those?
Yes.
Where you thought,
yeah,
hang on a minute, I'd actually like to keep singing these. Was there ever a point where you thought you might change your mind?
Frankly, in that way, maybe only a couple, and they come from the very late 70s period. Things like Ashes to Ashes, and let's see, things like Sound and Vision, which were kind of new to me because I hadn't actually played Sound and Vision on stage ever before. So that tour, it was still fresh for me, that song, in a way, you know, as a performer, because I hadn't been doing it for 16, 20 years. So that was sort of, it was kind of a shame that they had to go. Well, when you got to go, you got to go. And they had to go as well. Follow all the other little songs through the door into time and get covered in cobwebs.
Decision to just consign them to that little box and tie the string and put the sealing wax on?
Because I'm that sort of little runt.
No, you're not.
I am, I tell you. I just, again, I suppose it was some kind of, you know, creative exercise for myself. I didn't want to find myself in that position of having to just continually be bringing them out. I didn't want a career that, well, firstly, the word career has always scared the shit out of me because it's not something I really ever wanted. I wanted to be a working, practicing artist. Artiste. And having to sort of, you know, I didn't ever see the time when I'd be sort of dragging out old songs to say, do you remember this old one? And so I thought, well, as I never wanted to do that, maybe I should do something about it. So I did.
Interesting response. I mean, there was some criticism that at points it became a little, how can I say, mechanical to do all the oldies, you know, just churn them out like a jukebox.
Oh, someone's always going to complain, aren't they?
All right, well, let's move on to Tin Machine. But first, can I ask you, David, because I haven't had the opportunity to ask you this before,
Yes.
What are you trying to achieve with Tin Machine?
Well, what we have achieved is a really first-class stage band that we all feel we have a terrific collaborative effort within, and producing the kind of music that I think, frankly, we wanted to be involved in and wanted to be able to buy for ourselves if we were listening to music. That was basically the premise of the band, is what's the kind of music that we'd like to buy. And that's what we set out to create, and indeed is what I feel that we have achieved on both the first and second album.
What makes it so important, David, for you to be part of a band rather than Bowie with a band?
Because I haven't done it before.
That's a good answer. I think many people admire the fact that you want to be part of a band.
They should try being in one before.
I mean, people do admire you for trying to be part of a band, but I think there are other people who might say that it's a little naive for you, as David Bowie, just to be a singer in a rock and roll band.
I know, but it's fun, isn't it? No. I don't know about all that. I just find it a lot of fun and hard work, and really, there's such an effort in sort of being involved with three other people who have an opinion. It's good for me. It's really good for me, you know. Not only did I pick three guys who have opinions, but they're all egoists. So it's doubly hard. Who gets to wear the nice suit? You know, no, David, you're not going to wear white. You'll wear black like all the rest of us.
Do they really tell you what to do? Come on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I think it's well, it's not for me to say. You know something? I think all that stuff about David Bowie having a bunch of musicians with him, and you know something? He probably pays them salaries. Is something that's going to go with this band, just for time, you know, and time and the product. I mean, I've had people coming up to me and saying, "Oh, well, it's amazing that you've actually, you mean you've actually done a second album?" I think the process is more important, you know, and us working as a band, being a band, playing live as a band, making records. Over time, it just becomes a band, you know. At the beginning, of course, I expected that, you know. I mean, I'd be foolish not to expect that. But that, you know something, that'll pass.
I mean, you've always had an uncanny knack to shock your audience with your changes. And I think the first Tin Machine album certainly shocked a lot of your fans.
It shocked me. It shocked me. It shocked me because I found that there were so many raw nerves on it, you know. There were, in listening to it, there's a sort of a lot of... a lot of anxieties beneath the surface of that, and I think all four of us felt. Partially because we knew we were going into a dangerous area, really, to explore this kind of venture. I mean, it was an odd thing to do, and I think that sort of showed in its writing. I guess there's not quite so much angst. Oh, God, I haven't used that word in years. On this second one.
Tell me about that. Tell me how it's different from the first.
I think putting ourselves into Sydney, Australia, had a sort of a real cohesive effect on all of us. Two of the guys hadn't really travelled that far before. They'd never been to Australia. Well, actually, I'm the only one that had been to Australia. Finding ourselves out there in a completely unknown place, we didn't know anybody, brought us well into our own circle. And we relied and looked to each other an awful lot for support and encouragement, I think, to sort of get through that 6-8 week period that we were out there. I think that was the duration of it. And an awful lot of, I guess out of that came an awful lot of interior writing, so there's probably a little more sort of inner writing on this album than there was on the last one. Although, for all practical purposes, I suppose some people called it aggressive or abrasive or whatever. That it still carries that air with it. It certainly has that kind of aggressive manner. Be interesting, actually, to see what people think of it, I suppose. I know we like it.
Well, I think going back to the first album, though, I mean, I think it surprised a lot of people because it was so abrasive. And I take your point about wanting to sail in dangerous waters. But I think a lot of die-hard Bowie fans were really surprised by how abrasive and unapproachable the album was.
Yeah, I expect they were.
That's exactly what you wanted, though, wasn't it?
Well, it's not what we wanted so much, Nicky. It's the way that it turned out. I mean, Frank, we hadn't a clue how it was going to turn out. We just knew what we wanted to do for ourselves, and how it did turn out was an album that really... I mean, don't feel that... I mean, we were smacked in the face by it as much as our audience. I mean, it's not a pleasant album to listen to, you know?
Were you disappointed that it didn't do better in terms of sales?
Oh, God, I thought it did phenomenally well. I mean, you know, I thought it might just do a few thousand. I mean, it was spectacular that it even approached 1 million worldwide. I mean, frankly, it's only in the last few years that I've actually sold any albums at all, you know. I mean, up until Let's Dance, everything I've sold since Let's Dance has sold like umpteen bucketful millions more than anything I did in the 70s, the so-called important albums. I mean, in those terms, it was all incredibly unbalanced. But this time to have this particular album, which was almost precious to us, you know, in as much as that we didn't know what we'd gotten ourselves into, and to see it do so incredibly well was really encouraging to us.
It's fascinating that you should say that your albums, you know, the Let's Dance albums and the albums after that sold bucket loads, and yet the earlier albums didn't.
I know. I think that's the way with a lot of artists. You know, Dylan has much the same thing. I mean, everybody knows about him and everybody knows his songs, but at the time, he didn't sell records, you know. It was incredible. It was almost like the whole thing was word of mouth, and it's sometimes the artist becomes bigger than the work that they do or something. It's a peculiar situation.
And you think that happened to you?
I'm not sure if that precise situation happened to me, but it certainly logistically is what happened to me, is that the kind of more commercial stuff certainly did much, much better than the stuff that was less commercial. I mean, you know, going back to my own favourite period, which was the Low Heroes Lodger, and I must include Scary Monsters of the early 80s. That stuff, all four of them put together, didn't achieve anything like the kind of album sales that, say, Tonight or something like that made, you know.
So what do you consider then to be the yardstick of success as far as you, David Bowie, are concerned?
Whether I'm being truthful to myself as an artist, if you want to talk in artistic terms, but that can spill over into all areas of your life.
Can you extrapolate on that?
No. But I certainly repeat the maxim that to me it's terribly important that I can live with what I'm doing as an artist comfortably, and in some cases happily. Not necessarily no, that's not true. Sometimes I have to live with something uncomfortably, but at least I know it's come from some kind of root of honesty.
So Tin Machine really was an uncomfortable process.
Yeah.
That in the end made you happy, is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's right. That's well put, Nicky.
Thank you, David. Would you like to interview me now?
That's my pleasure, Nicky.
Well, listen, tell me finally, as we wrap up the thing about Tin Machine,
Yes.
The new album, when can we expect that?
It comes out on September the 1st, and we're going to be touring on, I can't give the exact date, but it'll be around October, and we start a mini worldy kind of thing. Once again, we're keeping the audiences way, way down.
What kind of venues will you be playing?
I think we'll probably be somewhere between 1,000 and 3,000, something like that.
So when will you be coming here to Great Britain?
Those dates haven't actually been set at the moment.
And what's the album called?
Tin Machine.
That's original.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have a 2 after it.
Well, David, we look forward very much to the new album. And in fact, I look forward very much to hearing it and talking to you at length about it, track by track.
Smashing. I really look forward to that.
Thanks once again, David.
Thanks a lot, Nicky. That was really good. Bye-bye.
Well, now here's a sneak preview of that Tin Machine album. Here's one of the rough mixes. Unfortunately, I can only play about a minute of it, but it'll give you a good idea of what the album is like. For David, it's back to basics. This is just a snatch of Baby Universal.
Baby, 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 baby,
Now that he has no sense of destination, now he's running for the lover's speed.
Sounds like an outtake from Hunky Dory, doesn't it? Now, I'd love to play you more of that, but if I do, I'll get my knees broken. That's Baby Universal, one of the demos from David Bowie's Tin Machine album, which is due out on September the 1st. And I really hope you enjoyed that. David Bowie from Los Angeles.